So welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for January 29th, 2021. I'm Benji Fisher, and also on the meeting are Anmol Goel, Christina Chumias or Sakrina, Darius Zivertas, Emily Nouveau, or Diane Nova, and Thomas Howell. And I think Anmol will start us off. He has an issue he'd like to start. Can you start by giving us the issue number for the sake of the recording?
Sure. So, okay. Chat option. Notes. Okay. I have shared the issue number in the meeting chat. Okay. So this is the
The
issue
meeting
I.
chat does not get into the recording, so please read out the issue number.
Okay. So the issue number is 3166044. And the title is allow file extensions to contain underscores. And so in this issue, we have we are allowing like underscore in the file field type. So earlier like underscore was not allowed, so we are allowing underscores. And so we have a certain set of extensions available on this Wikipedia uh, page. So we have implemented the logical part and added the test as well, but for the description text we need the review of the of the members, how we can explain it to the users, well, like which certain set of extensions are allowed and which are not allowed. So so after applying the patch, this particular description is now being displayed. So just wanted to confirm, like, how can we improve it, or is this fine?
So I think there are two pieces of text that have to be reviewed. The first is what you've highlighted. This is the help text that always shows up. And again, for the sake of the recording, we shouldn't rely on people being able to see the screen. Separate extensions with a space or comma and should not start ampersand end with an alphanumeric character and can contain a dot or an underscore, but not together. So that's the first piece of text. The second is the error message that shows up if the extensions don't validate. We can look at that after we've looked at the help text a little bit. So as long as we're updating this text, let's look at one at a time. So we've been talking about the help text. Can you highlight that again? As long as we're updating the text, I think we can improve it from what was originally there. Not that one above. Separate extensions with a space or comma. The text, the help text underneath, yes. So shorter sentences are generally easier. So I think we can start off with separate extensions with a space or comma, add a period there, end that sentence. And I think we could continue with each extension should start, then spell out and rather than use an ampersand. Each extension should start and end with an alphanumeric character. Maybe end the sentence there. And then finally, extensions can contain a dot or underscore, but not together. That would be my first suggestion at improving the text. And I see that Gabor Hutzi has joined us. Welcome.
Benji, I agree with everything you said except for the end. I would remove the but not together. I'd say something along the lines of not sequentially. So you said something can contain a dot or an underscore, but not sequentially. Unless it means that you can't have X underscore Y underscore or a period T. That's not entirely clear from not together. So but the way it's visible in the example has it as a sequence. So you can't have them sequentially.
So what actually are the rules? What are the allowed characters? Alphanumeric and underscores and dots are the only allowed characters?
Yes. And underscore and dots cannot come together.
Now, I don't love the word sequentially.
But together also doesn't apply. If you can indeed use X underscore Y period T, then that's not a valid statement because they can be together in the same extension, just not in sequence with one another.
No, you can't have underscore dot, and that's what generates the error message.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Sorry.
Letter X underscore letter Y period T. So if you separate the two, you can still have them together within the same extension, but they can't be sequential, meaning underscore period or period underscore.
So to you together just means within the same extension.
Yes, within the same extension is how it reads.
Okay, how about this? Separate extensions with a space or comma. Each extension can contain alphanumeric characters, comma, underscore, comma, and dot, period. Underscore and dot cannot appear next to each other, at the beginning or at the end of the extension.
That's very specific and I like it. Thank you.
And using the phrase next to each other rather than sequentially or together.
Yep, that's perfectly, like alternatives to sequentially is perfectly fine. I just didn't like the not together because when I read it and when I heard it, it just kept on saying, like, it didn't make sense to me. I was confused.
And any other comments on this bit of text, the help text? And I see that Antonia has also joined us. Thank you for coming.
Hey, just working.
Okay. And I guess now we can move on to the error message that comes up when the extensions don't validate. Anmol, would you like to read it out?
Yep. So the error message is the list of allowed extension is not valid. Be sure to exclude leading or consecutive dots or underscores and to separate the extension with a comma or space.
So one thing I don't like is using a comma to join what are really two separate sentences. And I think that was already the case before this patch. But again, as long as we're changing the text, we can improve it. The list of allowed extensions is not valid, period. I think phrases like "be sure to" are disrecommended. Just start the next sentence with exclude. Again, spell out the ampersand.
You may want to also remove the "and" after underscore, where it says the word underscores, because it would be dots and underscores and to separate.
Right, we might start another sentence.
Yep.
But maybe we should rephrase it entirely. The list of allowed extensions is not valid. Extensions should not start with a dot or underscore. Yeah, again, several short sentences. Extensions should not start with a dot or underscore, period. Dots and underscores cannot, or more than one dot or underscore cannot be next to each other, period. Separate extensions with a comma or space. I kind of don't like my own suggestion for the help text because it's getting rather long. That's less of a problem in the error message. The error message should be as explicit as possible. In fact, I wonder whether it's worth being so specific in the help text that always shows up, because it's very uncommon for someone to put in an extension with 2 underscores in it. So we might not even bother to mention that in the help text. And when entering passwords, I'm always annoyed by the fact that they don't tell me the rules until I put in something that they don't like. And I don't want to be guilty of that same user experience here. But on the other hand, I think it's very unlikely that someone will put in 2 underscores, because I've never seen an extension with 2 underscores. So I wonder if it's all right not to mention it until the error condition. What do other people think?
I would say that's really annoying to have to define rules and not explaining that by default. And imagine that they set up a strategy based on what they think they can do, and then suddenly the moment they start implementing it, it's just that they have to start again. So I wouldn't. So in an ideal world, descriptions on the UI wouldn't be so annoying or wouldn't take so much space. Probably that would become more like a tooltip to open if they want more information, for example. So I would be more concerned about not giving the information, rather taking too much space or taking the description too far on a length sense. My 2 cents. I'll leave to the English native speakers to come up with an idea of how to integrate that.
Hey,
Oh,
Benji,
and generally, what do you think about spelling out the word underscore and the word dot rather than using the actual character?
You mean in general?
Yeah, for both the help text and the error message.
I think it makes a lot of sense. It would shorten the sentence for sure, and we could even use like no, forget about that. I was thinking about like the code, but I don't think we're using it anywhere else. So, but yes, I think that would be an improvement.
my question is from accessibility. How does that play out when it's not written as a word?
Good point. No idea.
I don't think there's any accessibility issue with using the actual character rather than naming the character.
It's the comma, quote, period, comma, quote, comma, and quote, underscore. Like, I don't know if that, if so many characters make it more difficult to get the same idea. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, I wish I could edit that. So in case you haven't noticed, Thomas and I are typing into the chat in the Zoom chat.
But I'm fine with what you show there, Benji. That looks very reasonable.
Okay, so my current suggestion is separate extensions with a comma or space. Each extension can contain alphanumeric characters, quote dot, end quote, and quote underscore, end quote, and should start with an alphanumeric character. So not mentioning in the help text that putting two underscores or an underscore and a dot together is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Christina. I agree with you. I hate not putting that there, but if we want to keep it short, the danger is if we start to be too explicit, we have to say it can't be period underscore or dot underscore. It can't be dot dot. It can't be underscore underscore, and it can't be underscore. Like, there's all these combinations. Otherwise, it looks specific without being specific. So it's easier not to get into those details, I think, in the helper text.
But if you think, for example, when you're being asked to actually fill a password and you get a list of rules or whatever you have to follow, it's usually like if there are rules, they are there. I mean, you either explain all the rules or don't explain the rules at all. Not sure if
I've run into all three use cases. I just know that when we explain the rules, we explain all of them. We don't just show one, and they're generally explicit rather than implicit. And if we just say we can't do one particular type of sequence, then it's not stating what may appear obvious to us. It's not necessarily obvious to other people. And again, we're stating that only one particular case is invalid when there's actually three other invalid cases. in the password rules, they explicitly state each and every one of the rules. They don't just list 2 of the 3 rules and skip 1 of the rules. So that's my concern.
I see. So we either go to something super basic or we either go to the full set of roles, you mean?
That tends to be my preference. And I think that the statement that having them in consecutive to one another is going to be pretty unlikely. I don't know that I've ever seen an extension that had the 2 together in any of those 4 combinations. Do we know of one? I'm assuming you can create file extensions, and that's the main reason you're calling it out, because the actual ticket was, or the issue is based upon a specific use case. And I'm assuming that use case doesn't do that by its very nature. So the assumption would be that either someone created their own artificial extension or something in the world actually put these characters in consecutive, one after the other. Because this isn't a password. Password is any sequence you want, whereas this is a very specific use case.
By the way, what counts as alphanumeric? Are we allowed Unicode in here or just ASCII?
I thought alphanumeric was just the base set, but I can look it up.
The oh yeah, looking at the code, is it case insensitive? It's just A through Z and 0 through 9 is what alphanumeric means. And maybe it's converted. Oh yeah, it is converted to lowercase a few lines above. So alphanumeric actually means ASCII, or in other words, A through Z.
Yeah, just like literally the English A through Z.
Yes. So I think we should spell that out in the error message rather than leave people guessing. Something like allowed characters are A through Z, 0 through 9, dot, in quotes, and underscore, in quotes. Each extension should start with an alphanumeric character, or the first character cannot be dot or underscore. I'll resist the temptation to be pedantic and say nor. And these 2 characters cannot appear next to each other.
That sounds good. And if you put that up as the starting point, if there's any additional recommendations for refinement, I think you're 80 or 90% of the way there, if not 100.
So here I'll paste my full suggestion into the chat. I can find, here's the chat window. So again, the error message can be longer than the help text. And I'm proposing the list of allowed extensions is not valid. Allowed characters are A through Z, 0 through 9, dot in quotes, and underscore in quotes. The first character cannot be dot or underscore, and these two characters cannot appear next to each other. Separate extensions with a comma or space.
Didn't it also say that it couldn't be the last as well? You can't, first and last characters cannot be dot or underscore. At least that's in the helper text.
Is that actually part of the rule, Anmol?
Yes, the first and last cannot be dot and underscore.
Okay, so I will add that.
I still don't know why someone would find a use case for doing that. So, but it is good to be explicit in the error message.
The first and last characters cannot be dot or underscore. If people like that text, then I can add it in a comment to the issue. Any further improvements? Okay, then Anmol, thanks for bringing that issue to our attention. And I asked earlier, no one else had issues they'd like to discuss, but we've had a few people join since then. So another call, or are there other issues people would like to discuss? I guess not. Then thank you for coming. Again, for the sake of the recording, the participants in this week's meeting are me, Benji Fisher, Anmol Goel, Antonia, Christina Chumias, Darius Zibertas, Emily Nouveau, Gabor Hatzi, and Thomas Howell. And I will see some of you, many of you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.